Today we will practice by solving some recitation exercises from sections 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6. We will go over the ideas. We will solve that, some with details, but if the idea is clear, we will just explain it and go to the next question. What are the most issues that you need to deal with or remember from section 1.3? How to find the slope of a line. If you have 2 points, this is the slope of the line. If you have a point and slope, then you can find the equation of the line. If you have the slope and the y-intercept as the point, then you can find the equation of the line in this form. And of course, this is the general form of the equation of a line. Vertical line, its equation is x equals a. What is a? Is the x-intercept of that line. The horizontal line, its equation is y equals to b. What is b? The y-intercept of that line. The horizontal line has no slope 0, and the vertical line has no slope, so they are perpendicular to each other. When you have 2 perpendicular lines, their slopes, they are negative reciprocal of each other. If they are parallel, they have the same slope. These are the main ideas that you need to remember from this section. I will give you 2 to 3 minutes to, or more even, to solve this one. Easy exercise. This is question number 4 in the recitation exercises. Try to solve it. During that, I will pause the recording and take the attendance. So the answer is A. How you obtain it? So you obtain the slopes from the points that you have. So let's Shabab, read it word by word and let's see what we can do. The line, so we have a line with x-intercept 4th. So what is that? This is a point, 1/4 and what? And 0. And we have another point. What is the another point? The y-intercept 0 and -1/2. So we have 2 points on this line. So we can find what? The slope. So the slope of this line will be what? 0. Let's say do the 0 minus, it will be +1/2 over 1/4 minus 0. Is that right? The y, the y, delta y over delta x, which is what? Which is a half over 4th, which will be 4/2, which will be 2. So the slope is what? 2. So we did find the slope. So up to here, look, just from this sentence up to here, we did obtain the slope. Let's see what is next. This line intersects the line y equals 2. The line y equals 2 is what? Is the horizontal line. It is this line. This is y equals 2. So our line intersects this as 2. Is our line increasing like this or decreasing like this? Look at the slope. The slope is what? Positive. So it is increasing, and it has in fact y-intercept and x-intercept. Here it is like this for it. I'm not sketching the graph exactly, just roughly speaking. Here we have here y-intercept and x-intercept. So this is the intersection point that he mentioned here. It intersects the line y equals 2 at what? At the point P and Q. So this is the point P and Q. What is P? This is the question. The value of V is. Do you know what is P and Q? Can you find it easily? We know Q. Why Q is clear? Because any y here, any y value here is what? So this is in fact B and what? So this Q, in fact, it is 2. So now the question is, what is P? How to find P? Yes? I have now 2 different ideas. I heard that you said they have the same slope. This is one way. And you said what?
Find the equations and then
Get the equation of the line, then substitute. So we can now continue by two methods. Let's start with the first method. Now, since I have the slope, I have slope and what? And 2 points, not only 1 point. So I can use what? I can use the buoyant slope form, or there is a better way to do that, to obtain the equation. The slope intercept form. Do you remember this form? What is the slope? 2. What is the y-intercept? This is the equation of the line. Now, this point P and 2, it is on the line. Since it is on the line passes through this point, so it satisfies the equation. So if you put here y as 2 and x as b, this equation must be true. Now you have the equation for b, you can solve it. Now how to solve this equation for b? Move this to here, it will be 2 plus a half equals to 2b, which is what? 5 over 2 equals to 2b, which implies that p is 5 over 4. This is one way. The another way that you, what is your name? Hassan. Hassan said that what you can do, since this point, it is on the same line with these 3 points, the slope will be the same whether we use these 2 points or whatever, regardless of the points that you are using, as they are on the line. So we can use, for example, this point with this point to calculate what? To calculate the slope. So if you calculate the slope there, 2 minus a half, it will be plus a half, over p minus 0, this equals to the slope. What is the slope? 2. Now this is equation again, you can solve it and find what is b. So it will be what? Again, 5 over 2, this is 2 plus a half equals to p minus 0 is p multiplied by 2, it will be 2b, which is the same equation, 5 over 4 equals 2p. Clear? Let's go to the next question now. Again, I wish that the idea here is clear. We need to solve one question from each section. Find an equation for the line tangent to the circle at the point. So we have, if you want to just to understand such questions, it is good to sketch a figure. Let's say this is a figure of the circle. Let me do it on the XY plane. It will be much better. So this is a circle, and you can see that clearly that this circle is what? Centered at the origin, 0 and 0. This is the center. And the radius is what? 5. So it is not about sketching the circle in the exact way. So now we need to find the equation of the line that is tangent to. So it is touching the circle at one point, single point. What is that point? Where is this? In which quadrant? Let's say here, it is in the 4th. So let's say that this is the line. I'm not sketching the graph in exact way. So this is the point what? 3 and negative, just roughly graphing. This is 3 and negative 4. This is the tangency point. Now this point, it is on the line. And at the same time, it is on the circle. Now the question is, what is the equation of this line? How to find the equation of this line? What we need to find the equation of a line, Shabab? We need slope and point. We have point. We need to find the slope. How to find the slope of a line if you have only one point? You cannot. To find the slope, you need another point on the same line. So can we get another point on the same line?
By the radius, we get
on the same line, we cannot. But if you look at this is, by the way, a trick that I told you about when we solved one similar question. Why here he gave me the circle? For sure, the circle here it has something to do with. Look at these 2 points. We have 2 points here. I can find what? The slope of this line, which is the radius. And you know, Shabab, that any tangent to the circle is perpendicular to the radius. So now the angle between them is 90 degrees. So now if I obtained, let's call the slope of this line, let's call it M2. And for our line, it is M1. Now what will be M2? What will be the slope of the radius? It will be -4 minus 0 over 3 minus 0. Is that right? -4 over 3. What will be the slope? What is the relationship between M1 and M2? They are negative reciprocals. Yes. So M1 will be negative. The reciprocal of negative 4 over 3, it will be 3 over 4. Now we have the slope. We have slope and point on the line. So what will be now the equation? The equation will be y minus y1 equals to m multiplied by x minus x1. Do you remember? This is the point slope 4. What is x1? 3. What is y1? Negative 4. So this will be plus 4. Now what is the slope? 3 over 4. Now this is the equation of the line. Usually it will not be given for you in the options like this. Usually it will be written in the general form. So let's write this in the general form. How to write it in the general form? Multiply both sides by 4. So you will have 4y plus 16 equals to 3x minus 9, which is what? 4y minus 3x minus 25 equals to what? To 0. Is it the same as the one that we obtained there? Is it the same as this one? It is equivalent. You know the equivalent equations. What are the equivalent equations? That can be obtained from each other by multiplying both sides by a number, dividing both sides by a number. So here, if you multiply both sides by -1, what you will get? Negative 4y plus 3x plus 25 equals to 0, which is, of course, can be rearranged the terms to have it like this. Minus, this is plus from the beginning, minus, this is of course minus, after multiplied by negative, it will be minus 25 equals to 0, which is the same equation. Even if it is multiplied by 2, it will be the same equation, equivalent equation. Okay? Usually, the standard, the general form is like this: a constant multiplied by x, a constant multiplied by y, and plus a constant equal to what? To 0. This is the general form. I will leave this for you because I believe that it is the same idea, but it needs just more time. So here, you need here a point that lies on the line. One of these points is on the line. You need to check how to know that a point it is on a line. If it satisfies the equation. Yes. So what we need to do, we need to find the equation of the line. Then we will substitute. So you have a point that lies on the line that is perpendicular. The line is perpendicular on another line, which is what? This line. So what will be the slope of this line? What is it?
2 over 3. No,
2 over 3. So the slope of this one, M1, will be what? Negative 3 over 2. You have the slope, and it passes through this point. So you have the slope, and you have what? A point. You can find the equation. Find the equation, and then substitute by x by -2 and y by 1. Check, is it true or not? And so on. You will get that at the end. That the only point that is on this line is this one. That make it true. Try to practice by solving this. I will leave it for you. Now let's go to 1.4. What is the most important ideas that you need to have here? What is the quadratic equation with a is not 0? How to find the sum and the products of solutions, the zero factor property, how to complete the square, the quadratic formula, and of course the discriminant. Look here, if the discriminant is positive, we have two distinct real zeros, and if it is 0, we have only one solution, and if it's negative, we have no real solution. How to solve, if someone asks you how to solve a quadratic equation, what will be your answer? Factor.
if we could,
Factor first if you can. If you cannot factor, use the quadratic formula. Now let's solve this question together. If the quadratic equation, he said that it is quadratic, has a double solution. What is that? One solution, exactly one solution, or two equal solutions. Then what is K? What is the plan? How to solve it? Yes. Write it in the standard form. So let's write it in the standard form. K x squared minus k x plus 16 equals to 0. You are right. This is step number 1. Then
we can check we can factor.
No. Are you going to solve it? Is he asking for solving? Did he ask you to solve this equation?
No.
No. He's just asking what is the value of k for which this equation will have a double solution or a one solution only. When the question is when the quadratic equation has one solution only. Here it is. The answer is here. When the discriminant, when d is 0, if you don't want to say discriminant, when the discriminant is what? 0. So here, this means that the discriminant is what? 0. But before finding the discriminant, you know what is the discriminant? It is b squared minus 4a. So the question is, what is a? The coefficient of x squared. K. What is b? Negative k. What is c? 16. So now the discriminant is 0. Why the discriminant is 0?
Because there is a
One solution or one repeated solution or two equal solutions. So this is what? B squared minus 4ac will be 0, which means that k squared, because let me write it in details. What is b? B is negative k. Negative k to the power 2 minus 4a is k. C is 16. This is equals to 0. Negative k to the power 2, it is k squared minus 64k equals to 0. Take k as a common factor. Because the right-hand side is 0, we take k as a common factor. So we will have k minus 64 equals to what? To 0. This means that k either it is 0 or k is what? 64. So what is the answer? Unfortunately, it is not A. The answer is C. Why? Why C is rejected? So this, in fact, this one is rejected. So it is not a solution. This is the only solution. Why? Do you see this word here? Quadratic. If k is 0, this will be quadratic equation. This is clear. There is, of course, another reason for that. If k is 0, what will happen here? This will be what? 0 equals to 0 minus what? Is 0 equals to negative 16? Impossible. But in fact, the main reason here that he said quadratic. So it will not be quadratic. And this Shabab mentioned also here, if you remember. A cannot be 0. The coefficient of x squared, if it is quadratic, it is not 0. Great. How to solve this equation for y? We have here two variables, x and y. You can solve it for y. You can solve it for x. He wants you to solve it here for y. So how this equation can be solved for y? Again?
Equal to 0.
Write it in the standard form, eliminate the right-hand side. So this is good idea. So what do you think? We will move, which one is better? To move y squared to here or to move these to the left-hand side, to the right-hand side? Why?
Because we don't need negative.
Y squared, the squared term, it is better to be positive. You are right. So we will write it in the standard form. Let's say 3y squared plus 4xy plus 1 minus 9x squared equals to what? To 0. This is step number 1. Right. Next. Do you remember what is the standard form of the quadratic equation? Here it is. Now, instead of x here, it will be what? Y. So this is our variable now. Now, everything now other than y will be a, b, and c. Okay, let me go to this equation and write y here, and this is y. Now, according to this, what will be a? 3. What will be b? 4x. What will be c? Just compare it with this. What is remaining here? What is remaining here is c. 1 minus 9x squared. Here, x here, it is not the variable. X here, it is just a constant because I'm solving this for y. My variable is y, not x. Now, what you will do later after that? Y equals to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, the quadratic formula. It is now a matter of what? Of substitution. Do you want me to continue this or you can do it by yourself? It is a matter of substitution, just simplify. So what it will be? negative 4x plus square root of b squared, which will be what? Plus or minus 16x squared minus 4 times a, which is 3 times c, which is 1 minus 9x squared. Be smart when you times to a is what? 3, this is 6. When you simplify, you can use factoring as well. Look here, plus or minus. Don't expand here. Look here, you have here 4 and you have here 16. You can factor it out as common, and the square root of 4 will be what? So it can be outside of the root, and you will have here 4x squared after factoring 4 out, minus 3 plus 27x squared. Is that right? Check after me. Now this will be equals to what? Now 2, you can factor it out and cancel it with 6. So you will have in the denominator what? 3. And you will have here negative 2x plus or minus square root of 4x squared plus 27. It will be 31x squared minus 3. I think you cannot simplify more. That's it. Do we have now this in terms of x? There is no y here. So you are right. And this is the solution. You can check your answer. Find the length of the rectangle if its area is 150 and its perimeter is 50. How to solve such problem? You know what is the rectangle is. This is the rectangle. Let's say this is the length, the width. This is the length. When you have a rectangle, you have a width and the length. He said that he wants the length. So what we want here, Shabab? The question is what? What is y? Okay. We have 2 variables here, but usually we are in MATH001. We studied 1.4 and B8. Only one variable. We need one equation with one variable. So this is our target. We need to have a model for this problem in one equation with one variable. Let's do that. So now the area of the rectangle is 150. What does that mean? It means that x times y is 150. And its perimeter is 50. What is that? The double of the width and plus the double of the length is what? 50. You can simplify this. X times y equals to 150. And here we have x plus y equals to what? 225, right? Now we have 2 equations with 2 variables. You can solve it as a system. We will do that in MATH002, by the way. But you know about this already. Now our target again to have one equation with one variable. So what we will use substitution. From this equation, what we have? We have x equals to what? 25 minus y. Is that right? Just I solve it for x. Now I will go to this equation and I will put instead of x 25 minus y times y equals to 150. Are you following me? Now this is my model. My model is this. Now I will solve it for what? I have one equation with one variable, which is y. I will solve it for y, and this is my target. Now what it will be? 25y minus y squared minus 150 equals to 0, right? To be able to solve it, make the squared term positive. So multiply both sides by -1. You will get y squared minus 25y plus 150 equals to 0. This means what? You need 2 numbers. The product of them is 150 and the sum of them is -25. What they are? Both of them are negative. 10 and 15. Now this means what? This means that y, it is either 10 or what? Or 15. So we can say that 10 is y is the length is 10 or 15. But usually, you know, the length is, we usually agreed about that the length is longer than the width. There are many things in the nature, their width is bigger than the length. But let's find x, let's find the length. If the width is 10, look at this from here. If y is 10, what will be x? 15. And here we are. If it is 15, it will be 10. So it doesn't matter, of course. If you are considering the length to be y, so the length is what? Is 15. So this will be 10, and this will be 15. Excellent. Now in 1.5, if you remember, it was about complex numbers, how to add, subtract, multiply, divide complex numbers, and how to deal with the powers of I, and of course the conjugate, what we mean by the conjugate, and how to deal with negative numbers, square roots of negative numbers. I'm not sure that we solved this or not with you. Let's solve it again. But I think I give you a hint about it last class. How to solve this? If Z is given for you like this, then find the complex conjugate.
No, we distribute the power.
Distribute the power. You can distribute the power here. You can expand. You are right. You can multiply this expression by itself 2 times. But can you do that 21 times?
No.
So it is not practical. You will not be able to do that, even if you spend the whole day over this. So what should we do?
We will solve each one before.
For this one, we agreed. It is not a big deal. You can multiply by itself 2 times. The question is how to deal here.
We will solve it by multiplying the complex conjugates.
Aha. So you need to work inside before the power. Forget about the power for the moment. So what you should do in this case, you should say that this is equals to what? 2 plus I over 1 minus I, multiply by what? And this is, Shabab, should be clear from here. When you have a complex number over a complex number in the standard form, to divide, you need to multiply by the conjugate of what? Of the denominator. Keep this always in mind. So here we will multiply by what? 1 plus I, which is the complex conjugate of the denominator. We will do the same here. Even we did it in the first term, even if it is easy there, but of course we have to do it here. We cannot simplify this, of course, without doing this. So this is equals to what? What we will have here? 1 minus I times 1 plus I, it will be 1 minus I squared. What is I squared?
-1.
-1. So this will be +1, not -2. +2, be careful. Now multiply this by using FOIL. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times I is 2I. I times 1 is I. I times I is what? I squared, which is -1. All squared. Plus. Now here we have what? 1 minus I times 1 plus I. It will be again, we have it from here, by the way. It is 2. And 1 plus I times 1 plus I, it is 1 plus I all squared. So it will be 1 times 1, which is 1, plus 1 times I is I times 1 is I times I is -1, I squared. Here we are. This is equals to what? Simplify now. You have 2 minus 1, which is what? 1. 2I plus I, 3I over 2 squared, plus. Here you have 1 minus 1, 0. I plus I, 2I over 2, all to the power 21. This is equals to 1 plus 3I. We can expand now. What it will be? 1 plus 6I minus 9. Am I right?
No.
It will be 3I squared, all squared. So it will be 9I squared. I squared is -1. -1 times 9 is like this. Over 2 to the power 2 is what? 4. Plus 2I over 2. 2 over 2. It will be I to the power what? 21. Now it is not a problem at all. So this will be what? -8 plus 6I over 4 plus I to the power 21. It is what? It is I to the power 20 times I, which I to the power 20 is what? So we will have here what? Let me do it in the next step. Why not in the next step? Now this will be what? Distribute here. It will be -8 over 4, -2, plus or minus 6 over 4. It will be 3 over 2 I. Why plus or minus? It is plus. And here we are plus I. What is this? This is equals to -2 plus 5 over 2I, right? Now this is Z. What was the quotient? What is Z bar? This implies that Z bar, the conjugate, the complex conjugate, it is -2 minus 5 over 2. So be careful when you solve such problem. Ask, look at the question. What do you want? Now let me ask you a question, Shabab. Why we didn't do this from the beginning? Because I know that many students, they are doing this here at the beginning. No, unfortunately, there are some students, they said, oh, this is to the power 20. Whatever it is here, it will be 1. No.
Just for I.
Just for I. Be careful. So I saw some mistakes in all the quizzes, so be careful about that. Great. I will leave this question for you, Shabab, because we need to go to 1.6 and solve some exercises. Let's see the idea, how to solve this. If Z equals to A plus BI is the reciprocal of this complex number. This is the complex number. So Z here is what? Is 1 over this number. So it is 1 over what? -3 plus 3i times I plus, sure? All right. Now this is it. What you need now to do? You need to simplify here, then multiply by what? By the conjugate of the denominator. Simplify until you get it in the standard form. Then what is A, what is B? I will leave it for you. In 1.6, we have other types of equations, polynomial, radicals, quadratic type, and also rational equations. How to solve this?
We isolate
It is already isolated. So just so you need to what? Square both sides, and be careful when you square here. It will be here. You will have x plus 2 clearly, but here you will have what? 1 minus 2 times 3x plus 7, and here you will have plus 3x plus 7, the square of this.
No,
If you want to have more ideas about this, please see solved exercise number 4. It is exactly the same, almost the same.
no, because here we squared, we need to make sure.
You must check. You must check. Now, how to continue? We still have a radical here. Now you need to isolate it again. So you need to move this to the next, or move it itself. So it will be 2 square root of 3x plus 7 equals to what? Here you will have 3x plus 8, and it will be minus x minus 2. So you will have it like 2x plus 6. And you can do something before squaring both sides here, Shabab. What is it? Divide both sides by 2. It will be much easier. The calculations. Always keep in mind to simplify before going further. Now you can what? Square both sides again, and you can continue. I will leave it for you again. And what you should hear, don't forget to what? To check, because you squared both sides. We have radical equation. You must check, because he's asking about the sum. So they might be both solutions, or one of them will be rejected, or both. The idea here is the same. What you will do, it will be x minus 12 equals to square root of what? Of x. Isolate the radical. Now square both sides. Continue. Again, don't forget to what? To check, because you have squared both sides. You have a radical equation. How to solve this? Multiply both sides by x minus 5, by x minus 5, the LCD. Here you need to do something. What is it? This is x minus 5, but this will be what? Plus. I will leave it again for you. If x is 5 here, you must reject it, because x cannot be 5. Similar idea here. What is the LCD that you will multiply both sides by? R squared times 1 minus r. This is the LCD. Multiply both sides by this. Again, if r is 0, r here cannot be 0, cannot be what? Cannot be 1. If one of them is a solution, you must reject it. How to solve this? I think this is the last one. Yalla, try to solve it. We have time. Let me check. We have like 6 minutes. Yalla, I will give you 3 minutes for you and 3 minutes for us later to solve it. Try to solve this, ya Shabab. Try. It can be solved by several ways, by the way. There is always, of course, another way in math and in life. I heard someone say quadratic sense. Your quadratic sense is okay. If you didn't realize that it is quadratic of quadratic type, it means that you need to check your quadratic sense. But you can solve. Aha, thank you for this. Yes, the common factor. What about solving this by common factor? Again, we are still repeating the same mistake, by the way. Let me give you this, Abdul Aziz. Look at this, Abdul Aziz. 2x squared plus 2x plus x equals to 1. You can solve this by taking common factor. But what is the benefit of that? So what? What you will do after that? Nothing. If this is 0, taking a common factor here, it's right. It is a right step. You can after that continue. But if it is not 1, if it is not 0, it is. Now, even if it is like this, if you make the right hand side 0, can you now take a common factor? If it is like that?
No, you cannot.
Yes, it is the same problem. You can, but it is useless. It is useless unless you don't have this term. You got it?
Yeah.
Please, ya shabab. So now, again, you can solve it by different methods. One way, as Abdul Aziz mentioned, is to use not Abdul Aziz al-Hosa, Abdul Aziz al-Ghadir. He mentioned that yes, to solve it by as a quadratic of quadratic type equation. You should write it first in the standard form. Eliminate the right hand side. So write it as this: -2/3 plus. So what is your quadratic sense tells you about the substitution? What will be your W or your U, your Y, your whatever? Anything other than X. What is thing and thing squared? Think about it like this. There's something here that is also squared. You have trinomial. This is what, the first thing that you need to look at. This one, ya shabab. If you square this expression, it will be this one. So if we bought W or Y, whatever, if we bought Y equals to 2x minus 1 all to the power -3rd, which is, by the way, 1/2x minus 1 to the power 3rd. You can write it also as 1/square root or cubic root of 2x minus 1. So this will be Y, and this will be 2y squared. It is of quadratic type. Now what you will do? Factor. If you can factor, if you cannot, you will go to the quadratic formula. But don't go to the quadratic formula before trying to factor, trying to factor. So here we have 1, 1. The bigger product is positive, and here we are. So either this is 0 or this is 0. Y equals, here y equals what? A half, or y equals to what? -1. So what is y? Y is 1/2x minus 1 all to the power 3rd. Of course, here x cannot be what, Shabab? X cannot be a half. Look, because it is in the denominator. If x is a half, this will be 0. So here we are, or 1/2x minus 1 to the power 3rd equals to -1. How to continue? Let me continue solving here. Now, what we can do? Take the reciprocal of each term or each side, or cross multiply, or you can, of course, raise both sides to the power 3. So what you will have? Let's do them at once. I will raise to the power 3. We will have what? 1 this without the power. So, and then I will cross multiply. So we will have 2x minus 1 equals to what? 8. Is that right? I did 2 steps in 1 step. And here the same. It will be 2x minus 1 equals to what? What is the -1 to the power 3? -1. Try to do that. Now, let's continue here. So this means what? 2x equals to 9, which means that x is 9/2. Or 2x equals to what? 0, which means that x is what? 0. So how many solutions we have here? 2. He's asking about the sum, and we are lucky here. X is 0. Now, is 0 is an option here? No. So 9/2 is an option. Even the sum of them, even if this is a solution or both are solutions, it is 9/2. You can check, of course. It is better to check, but did we square both sides at any place?
No, we don't have.
It is not a must, but it is better, of course, because you have here denominator, you have radical also. Great. So I think this is the last question that we have. The answer is 9/2. And this is the last question that we have. If you want to go back and revise any question or solve any question, we still have time, do we? Oh, it is just 1 minute. So I think, Shabab, we had practiced enough for these 4 sections because they are so important for what is coming later. Next week, inshallah, we will start 1.7, 1.8.